Welcome to Ask Rare Class Notes YouTube channel. Before starting the video, I request you please support and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. Thanks. The paraphrasing of the poem, The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. Stanza 1. Original readings. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing, by herself, stop here, or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1. Look at her, all alone in the field, that Highland girl working by herself. She's harvesting and singing by herself. Stop and watch, or pass by quietly. She's cutting and gathering the crops, singing a sad song. Stanza 2. Oh listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. Paraphrasing of stanza 2. Listen closely, the whole valley is filled with the sound of her voice. No nightingale has ever sung sweeter songs to tired travelers resting in the shade in the Arabian desert. Stanza 3. A voice so thrilling ne'er was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas, among the farthest Hebrides. Paraphrasing of stanza 3. Her voice is more beautiful than the sound of a cuckoo in spring, echoing across the distant Hebrides islands. Stanza 4. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old, unhappy, far-off things, and battles long ago. Paraphrasing of stanza 4. Can no one tell me what she's singing about? Maybe her sad song is about things from the distant past, like old struggles and battles long ago. Stanza 5. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today, some natural sorrow, loss, or pain, that has been, and may be again? Paraphrasing of stanza 5. Or perhaps it's a simpler song about everyday life, some common sorrow, loss, or pain that has happened before and could happen again. Stanza 6. Whate'er the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, and o'er the sickle bending. Paraphrasing of stanza 6. No matter what her song was about, the girl sang as if it would never end. I watched her singing while working, bending over her sickle. Stanza 7. I listened, motionless and still, and, as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. Paraphrasing of stanza 7. I stood there, listening quietly and without moving. As I walked up the hill, I carried the music in my heart, even after I could no longer hear it. The summary of the poem, The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. In William Wordsworth's poem, The Solitary Reaper, the speaker describes a Highland girl working alone in the field, harvesting grain and singing a sorrowful song. Her voice fills the valley, and the speaker is captivated by its beauty, comparing it to the melodious notes of a nightingale or a cuckoo bird. He wonders about the meaning of her song, whether it tells of past events like battles, or expresses more everyday sorrows. Even though the speaker cannot understand the exact words, the girl's song leaves a deep impression on him, and he carries its memory in his heart long after he can no longer hear it. The central idea of the poem, The Solitary Reaper, written by William Wordsworth. The central idea of William Wordsworth's The Solitary Reaper is the powerful and lasting impact of nature and simple human experiences on the human soul. The poem reflects how the song of a lone Highland girl, while working in the fields, deeply moves the speaker. Even though the speaker cannot understand the words of her song, its beauty and emotional depth leave a lasting impression, highlighting the universal power of music and nature to stir the heart and mind. The paraphrasing of the poem. If, written by Rudyard Kipling. Stanza 1 Original readings. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1. If you can stay calm when everyone around you is losing their self-control and blaming you. If you can believe yourself when others doubt you and understand their doubts. If you can be patient without getting frustrated, avoid lying even when lied to, and resist hating even if you're hated, and still avoid acting too perfect or sounding too wise. Stanza 2. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build em up with worn-out tools. Paraphrasing of stanza 2. If you can dream without letting your dreams control you. If you can think without letting thoughts take over. If you can face both success and failure and treat them equally. If you can handle hearing your words twisted by dishonest people to trick others, or see something you worked hard for fall apart, and still gather the strength to rebuild it, even with old, worn-out tools. Stanza 3. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sign to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Paraphrasing of stanza 3. If you can gather all your successes and risk them all in one chance, and if you lose and then start over without complaining about your loss, if you can push your heart, nerves, and muscles to keep going long after they're exhausted, and keep holding on when you feel you have nothing left except your determination to keep going. Stanza 4. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Paraphrasing of stanza 4. If you can stay true to yourself when talking to crowds, and stay humble even when you're with important people, if neither enemies nor friends can hurt you, and if you value everyone but don't depend on anyone too much, if you can make the most of every minute by giving it your best effort, then the world and everything in it will be yours, and even more importantly, you'll truly be a mature person, my son. The summary of the poem. If, written by Rudyard Kipling. In Rudyard Kipling's poem, If, the speaker offers advice on how to develop into a strong, wise, and mature person. The poem highlights important virtues such as staying calm under pressure, trusting yourself when others doubt you, and remaining patient. It advises against responding to lies or hate with the same behavior and encourages balancing dreams with realistic thinking. The poem emphasizes resilience, especially in the face of failure, urging you to rebuild after losses and keep pushing forward with determination. Finally, it stresses the importance of humility, treating everyone equally, and making the most of every moment. By following these principles, one can achieve greatness and become a truly mature and admirable person. The central idea of the poem, If, written by Rudyard Kipling. The central idea of Rudyard Kipling's poem, If, is about the qualities and virtues needed to live a successful and fulfilling life. The poem advises maintaining self-control, confidence, patience, and integrity in challenging situations. It emphasizes resilience, determination, humility, and the ability to treat both success and failure equally. By following these principles, a person can achieve not only material success but also personal growth and maturity, ultimately becoming a true and complete individual. The paraphrasing of the poem. The Toys, written by Coventry Patmore. Stanza 1. Original reading. My little son, who looked from thoughtful eyes, and moved and spoke in quiet grown-up wise, having my law the 7th time disobeyed, I struck him, and dismissed, with hard words and unkissed. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1. My little son, who had a thoughtful look and acted so calmly and maturely, disobeyed my rule for the 7th time. I punished him, speaking harshly and sending him away without a kiss. Stanza 2. His mother, who was patient, being dead. Then, fearing lest his grief should hinder sleep, I visited his bed, but found him slumbering deep, with darkened eyelids, and their lashes yet from his late sobbing wet. And I, with moan, kissing away his tears, left others of my own. Paraphrasing of stanza 2. His mother, who was always patient, had passed away. Worried that his sadness might stop him from sleeping, I went to check on him in bed, but I found him fast asleep. His eyelids were dark and still wet from the tears he had cried earlier. I kissed away his tears, but in doing so, I left my own tears behind. Stanza 3. 4. On a table, drawn beside his head, he had put, within his reach, a box of counters and a red-veined stone, a piece of glass abraded by the beach, and 6 or 7 shells, a bottle with bluebells, and 2 French copper coins, ranged there with careful art. Paraphrasing of stanza 3. On a table next to his bed, he had placed a few of his little treasures within reach, a box of counters, a stone with red veins, a piece of glass smoothed by the sea, 6 or 7 shells, a bottle filled with bluebell flowers, and 2 French copper coins, all carefully arranged. Stanza 4. To comfort his sad heart. So when that night I prayed to God, I wept, and said, Ah, when at last we lie with tranced breath, not vexing thee in death, and thou rememberest of what toys we made our joys. Paraphrasing of stanza 4. He had arranged those little treasures to comfort his sad heart. Later that night, when I prayed to God, I wept and said, when we finally rest in peace, no longer troubling you, please remember how small and simple the things were that once made us happy. Stanza 5. How weakly understood, thy great commanded good, then, fatherly not less, than I whom thou hast moulded from the clay, thou leave thy wrath, and say, I will be sorry for their childishness. Paraphrasing of stanza 5. We often misunderstood your great goodness. Then, like a loving father, just as you created me from clay, you will put aside your anger and say, I will forgive them for their childish mistakes. The summary of the poem, The Toys, written by Coventry Patmore. In the poem, The Toys, by Coventry Patmore, the speaker recounts a moment when he harshly scolded and struck his young son for disobeying him. Later, feeling regret and concern, the father visits his son's room and finds him asleep, with his eyes still wet from crying. By his bedside, the boy had carefully arranged simple toys and treasures to comfort himself. This deeply moves the father, who then prays to God, asking for forgiveness for human flaws and recognizing how, like a loving Father, God may also forgive us for our childish mistakes and misunderstandings. The central idea of the poem, The Toys, written by Coventry Patmore. The central idea of Coventry Patmore's poem, The Toys, revolves around the themes of parental love, regret, and forgiveness. The speaker, a father, recounts an episode where he scolded and punished his young son for disobedience. Later, filled with guilt and sorrow, he checks on the child and finds him asleep, surrounded by small, innocent objects that bring him comfort. This sight moves the father to tears, realizing how harsh he had been over something so trivial. The poem then transitions to a spiritual reflection, as the father prays to God, hoping that in death, God will forgive humanity's mistakes and weaknesses. Much like a parent forgives a child's innocent errors. The poem draws a parallel between human frailty and divine mercy. The paraphrasing of the poem, All the World's a Stage, written by William Shakespeare. Stanza 1. Original readings. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy, with his satchel, and shining morning face, creeping like snail. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1. Line by line. The whole world is like a stage, and all men and women are just actors. They come and go, entering and leaving life, and each person plays many roles during their life, going through 7 stages. First, he's a baby, crying and spitting up in the nurse's arms. Then, he's a schoolboy, complaining with his bag, with a fresh face, walking slowly like a snail. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1. In a paragraph. The world is like a big stage, and all men and women are just actors. They enter and leave the stage of life, playing different roles as they grow. A person's life has 7 stages. First, they are a baby, crying and being cared for by a nurse. Then, they grow into a schoolboy, complaining about going to school, carrying their bag, with a fresh, bright face, but walking slowly, like a snail. Stanza 2. Unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress. Eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined. Paraphrasing of stanza 2, line by line. Reluctantly going to school. Then, he becomes a lover, sighing like a furnace, writing sad poems about his beloved's eyebrow. Then, he turns into a soldier, swearing unusual oaths, with a beard like a leopard, eager to protect his honor, quick to argue, chasing after short-lived fame, even if it means facing danger in battle. Then, he becomes a judge, with a round belly, filled with fine food. Paraphrasing of stanza 2. In a paragraph. After reluctantly going to school, the person becomes a lover, full of passion, sighing like a furnace and writing sad love songs about his beloved's eyebrow. Next, he turns into a soldier, making strange promises and growing a beard like a leopard. He is protective of his honor, quick to get into arguments, and seeks short-lived fame, even if it means risking his life in battle. Then, he becomes a judge, with a round belly from eating fine food, and wise in his judgments. Stanza 3. With eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose, well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble pipes. Paraphrasing of stanza 3, line by line. With serious eyes, and a neatly trimmed beard, he's full of wise sayings and modern examples. and so he plays his part. Then, he enters the sixth stage, becoming a thin old man in slippers, wearing glasses on his nose and a pouch at his side. His old stockings, once fitting, now much too loose for his thin legs, and his deep manly voice becomes high-pitched and childlike again. Paraphrasing of stanza 3. In a paragraph. As the person enters this stage, he has a serious look and a neatly trimmed beard, filled with wisdom and modern examples to share. He plays his role in life, but then moves into the sixth stage, becoming a thin, elderly man wearing slippers. He now needs glasses on his nose and carries a pouch at his side. His old, well-kept stockings are now too loose for his thin legs, and his once strong, deep voice turns high-pitched and weak, like a child's. Stanza 4. And whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Paraphrasing of stanza 4, line by line. And his voice whistles when he speaks. The final stage, that ends this strange and eventful life, is like a second childhood, full of forgetfulness, without teeth, without eyes, without taste, without anything. Paraphrasing of stanza 4. In a paragraph. In this final stage, the person's voice whistles when they speak. This last part of life ends their strange and eventful journey. It's like a second childhood, where they become forgetful and lose many abilities. They are left without teeth, without sight, without taste, without anything. The summary of the poem, All the World's a Stage, written by William Shakespeare. In the poem, All the World's a Stage, by William Shakespeare, the speaker compares life to a play where every person is an actor who goes through the following 7 stages, or ages, of life. Infancy. The first stage represents a baby, who is helpless and cries in the nurse's arms. Childhood. The second stage is the schoolboy, who is reluctant to go to school and often complains, carrying his satchel and moving slowly. Lover. In the third stage, the individual becomes a lover, filled with passion, sighing and composing sad poems for their beloved. Soldier. The fourth stage depicts the soldier, who is bold and full of oaths, ready to fight for honor and reputation, even in dangerous situations. Justice. The fifth stage is the judge, characterized by wisdom and authority, with a round belly from good food, offering sound judgments based on life experiences. Old age. The sixth stage shows an elderly man, who is thin and frail, wearing slippers and spectacles, with his youthful spirit fading as he becomes more dependent. Second childhood. The final stage is a return to a childlike state, marked by forgetfulness and loss of abilities, where the individual is left without teeth, sight, taste, or the vigor of earlier years. These stages symbolize the journey of life, highlighting the changes and roles people play as they age. Summary number 2. In the poem, All the World's a Stage, by William Shakespeare, the speaker compares life to a play where every person is an actor who goes through 7 stages, or ages, of life. The first stage is infancy, where the baby cries and needs constant care. Then comes childhood, where the boy reluctantly goes to school. The third stage is the young lover, full of passion and writing love poems. Next is the soldier, quick to fight and seeking honor. After that is the wise and respected judge, who is mature and full of experience. In old age, the person becomes frail, wearing glasses and loose-fitting clothes, and their voice weakens. Finally, the last stage is second childishness, where a person loses their senses and independence, returning to a state of helplessness before life ends. The central idea of the poem, All the World's a Stage, written by William Shakespeare. The central idea of Shakespeare's All the World's a Stage is that life is like a play, where each person is an actor, playing different roles at various stages of life. These stages, or acts, start from infancy and move through childhood, youth, adulthood, and old age. In each phase, people behave in ways typical of that stage, until finally, in old age, they return to a state of dependency, similar to childhood, before life ends. The poem reflects the inevitability of aging and the cyclical nature of human life. Paraphrasing of the poem, Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara. Stanza 1. Original. Readings. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts, and laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth, while their ice-block cold eyes search behind my shadow. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1, line by line. There was a time, my son, when people laughed with genuine warmth from their hearts, and their eyes showed real joy. But now, they only give fake smiles, showing their teeth, while their eyes are cold and emotionless like ice, as if they are looking past me, not really seeing me. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the poet tells his son that there was a time when people laughed with real warmth and sincerity, showing genuine feelings through both their hearts and eyes. However, now their laughter has become fake and empty, only showing through their teeth, while their cold, unfeeling eyes seem to look past him, as if searching for something hidden or judging him. Stanza 2. There was a time indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Paraphrasing of stanza 2, line by line. There truly was a time when people shook hands with true warmth and sincerity. But that time is past now, my son. Now, they shake hands without any real feeling, while their hand is secretly checking my empty pockets. Paraphrasing of stanza 2, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker recalls a time when people used to shake hands warmly, with genuine feeling. But now, he tells his son that sincerity is gone. People shake hands without any real emotion, and at the same time, they are secretly trying to take advantage of him, even checking his pockets for what they can gain. Stanza 3, original readings, feel at home. Come again, they say, and when I come, again and feel, at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice, for then I find, doors shut on me. Paraphrasing of stanza 3, line by line. They say, make yourself at home, and, come back again. They say this, and when I actually return, and start to feel comfortable, there, after 1 or 2 visits, there won't be a third time, because I find the doors closed to me. After that. Paraphrasing of stanza 3, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker describes how people say things like, feel at home, and come again, to sound welcoming. But if he takes their words seriously and visits once or twice, he realizes he isn't actually welcome. By the third visit, he finds the doors closed to him, revealing that their words were not sincere. Stanza 4. So, I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses. Home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile. Paraphrasing of stanza 4, line by line. I have picked up a lot of habits. Over time, my son, I've learned to put on different faces or ways of acting, like I would wear different clothes, such as a face for when I'm at home, another face for work, one for being out in public, and one for hosting guests, and another for social events, each with the same kind of polite, forced smile, like a smile that's frozen in a picture, never changing. Paraphrasing of stanza 4, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker tells his son that he has learned to put on different faces or expressions for different situations, just like changing outfits. He has a different face for home, work, social events, and being a host. Each of these faces comes with a polite, practiced smile, like a forced, unchanging smile in a portrait, rather than a real, heartfelt expression. Stanza 5. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth, and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say, goodbye. Paraphrasing of stanza 5, line by line. I have also learned to laugh without real feeling, just showing my teeth, and to shake hands without putting my heart into it. I have learned to say, goodbye. Paraphrasing of stanza 5, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker explains how he has learned to put on a fake smile, laughing only with his teeth and not with real joy, and to shake hands without feeling any genuine warmth or connection. He has also learned to say, goodbye, without any real emotion, showing how he has lost sincerity in his interactions with others. Stanza 6. When I mean, good riddance. To say, glad to meet you, without being glad, and to say, it's been nice talking to you, after being bored. Paraphrasing of stanza 6, line by line. When I actually mean, good riddance, I've learned to say, glad to meet you, even when I'm not really glad, and to say, it's been nice talking to you, even when I felt bored the entire time. Paraphrasing of stanza 6, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker reflects on how he has learned to be insincere in his interactions with others. He describes how he says polite phrases like, glad to meet you, or, it's been nice talking to you, without genuinely feeling glad or interested. Instead, he often feels the opposite, relieved or even bored, but hides his true feelings behind polite words. Stanza 7. But, believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be, when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Paraphrasing of stanza 7, line by line. But trust me, son, I want to go back to being the way I used to be, when I was more like you. I want to forget all these habits that have dulled my true self. More than anything, I want to relearn how to laugh sincerely, because when I see myself laughing in the mirror, it just shows my teeth, looking fake and cold, like a snake's bare fangs. Paraphrasing of stanza 7, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker is telling his son that he wishes he could be like he was in his younger days, when he was more genuine and innocent. He feels he has picked up bad habits that have silenced or dulled his true self. Above all, he wants to learn how to laugh sincerely again, because now, when he looks in the mirror, his laughter looks forced and fake, just baring his teeth like a snake's fangs. Stanza 8. So show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how. I used to laugh and smile, once upon a time when I was like you. Paraphrasing of stanza 8, line by line. So, please show me, son, how to laugh again. Show me how. I used to laugh and smile, long ago, when I was more like you. Paraphrasing of stanza 8, in a paragraph. In this stanza, the speaker is asking his son to teach him how to laugh and smile genuinely again, the way he did long ago when he was young and innocent like his son. He longs to rediscover the natural, sincere joy he once had, which he feels he has lost over time. The summary of the poem, Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara. In the poem, Once Upon a Time, Gabriel Okara reflects on how people have lost their sincerity over time, and he shares these thoughts with his son. He remembers a time when people's smiles and handshakes were warm and heartfelt, but now they are fake, just surface-level gestures with no real feeling behind them. To fit into this changed world, he has learned to put on different faces for different situations and to act polite without truly meaning it. However, he misses his genuine, innocent self and wishes he could go back to being like his son, able to laugh, smile, and connect with others honestly. He asks his son to teach him how to be real and joyful again, like he was when he was young. The central idea of the poem, Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara. The central idea of Gabriel Okara's poem, Once Upon a Time, is the loss of sincerity and authenticity in human relationships as people become more superficial and insincere. The speaker reflects on how people used to express genuine warmth and kindness but now only show fake smiles and empty gestures. To adapt, he himself has learned to put on different faces and act polite without feeling it. However, he longs to return to his former, innocent self and hopes his son can teach him to rediscover genuine laughter and joy. The poem highlights a desire to reconnect with true emotions and authenticity, like he once was in his youth. Paraphrasing of the poem, Lines from the Deserted Village, written by Oliver Goldsmith. Stanza 1. Original readings. Sweet Auburn, loveliest village of the plain, where health and plenty cheered the laboring swain, where smiling spring its earliest visit paid, and parting summer's lingering blooms delayed. Simple and easy paraphrasing of stanza 1, line by line. The poet praises Auburn, calling it the most beautiful village in the area. It was a place where hard-working villagers enjoyed good health and an abundant life. Spring arrived early in Auburn, bringing joy and beauty to the village. Even when summer ended, its flowers and beauty stayed longer in the village. Paraphrasing of stanza 1, in a paragraph. The poet fondly remembers Auburn as a beautiful and charming village, the loveliest in the area. It was a place where hard-working people lived happily, enjoying good health and abundance. Spring arrived early to brighten the village, and even as summer ended, its flowers and beauty lingered, making the village feel warm and welcoming for a long time. Stanza 2. Original readings. Dear lovely bowers of innocence and ease, seats of my youth, when every spark could please, how often have I loitered o'er thy green, where humble happiness endeared each scene, how often have I paused on every charm. Paraphrasing of stanza 2, line by line. The poet fondly remembers the peaceful and beautiful spots filled with simplicity and innocence. These were the places where he spent his childhood, finding joy in everything around him. He recalls wandering leisurely through the green fields of the village. The simple joys of life made every moment in the village special and heartwarming. He often stopped to admire the beauty and charm of the surroundings. Paraphrasing of stanza 2, in a paragraph. The poet fondly remembers the beautiful and peaceful places of his childhood, where life was simple and full of joy. These were the places where he spent his youth, finding happiness in even the smallest things. He recalls wandering through the green fields, where every moment felt special, and often stopping to admire the beauty of the surroundings. Stanza 3. Original readings. The sheltered cot, the cultivated farm, the never-failing brook, the busy mill, the decent church that topped the neighboring hill, the hawthorn bush, with seats beneath the shade, for talking age and wisping lovers made. Paraphrasing of stanza 3, line by line. The poet describes the cozy cottages and well-kept farms in the village. He mentions the constant flowing brook and the bustling mill where people worked. The modest church stood proudly on top of a nearby hill. The hawthorn bush provided shaded seating beneath its branches. The seats were used by elderly villagers to chat and by young lovers to share secrets. Paraphrasing of stanza 3, in a paragraph. The poet describes the charming features of the village, such as the cozy cottages, well-kept farms, and the constant flow of the brook near the bustling mill. He mentions the modest church standing proudly on a nearby hill, the hawthorn bush, with seats beneath its shade, was a special spot where elderly villagers would gather to chat, and young lovers would sit and whisper to each other, adding to the village's warmth and sense of community. Stanza 4. Original readings. How often have I blessed the coming day, when toil-remitting lent its turn to play, and all the village train, from labor-free, led up their sports beneath the spreading tree, while many a pastime circled in the shade. Paraphrasing of stanza 4, line by line. The poet recalls how often he felt grateful for the arrival of a new day. He remembers when hard work would pause, giving way to fun and enjoyment. The entire village, relieved from their daily work, would come together. They would gather under the wide branches of a large tree to play games. They enjoyed various games and activities in the cool shade of the tree. Paraphrasing of stanza 4. In a paragraph, the poet fondly recalls the joy of mornings in the village when work would pause, allowing time for fun and relaxation. He remembers how the entire village, relieved from their daily labor, would gather under the wide branches of a tree to play and enjoy themselves. There, in the shade, they shared various games and pastimes, creating happy memories together. Stanza 5. Original readings. The young contending as the old surveyed, and many a gambol frolicked o'er the ground, and sleights of art and feats of strength went round, and still as each repeated pleasure turred, succeeding sports the mirthful band inspurred. Paraphrasing of stanza 5. Line by line. The young villagers competed in games while the older ones watched. There were playful activities and cheerful games across the field. People showed off their skills and strength during the games. When one activity became tiring or boring, they moved on to another. New games and activities kept the group happy and entertained. Paraphrasing of stanza 5. In a paragraph, the poet remembers how the young people in the village would compete in games, while the older villagers watched and enjoyed the lively scene. Children played happily, running and laughing across the ground, showing off their skills and strength. When one game or activity became tiring, a new one would start, keeping the group entertained and full of joy. Stanza 6. Original readings. The dancing pair that simply sought renown by holding out to tire each other down. The swain mistrustless of his smutted face, while secret laughter tittered round the place. The bashful virgin sighed long looks of love. Paraphrasing of stanza 6. Line by line. 2. People danced together, hoping to earn admiration. They tried to outlast each other by dancing as long as they could. A young man, unaware that his face was smudged, carried on confidently. Meanwhile, others laughed quietly at his smudged face. A shy young woman cast loving glances from the side, too timid to express her feelings openly. Paraphrasing of stanza 6. In a paragraph, the poet describes the simple and innocent joys of village life. He recalls dancing pairs competing to see who could last the longest without getting tired. There's a playful moment when a villager unknowingly has a smudged face, while others secretly laugh around him. He also highlights the shy glances of a young woman in love, capturing the sweet and modest nature of their lives. Stanza 7. Original readings. The matron's glance that would those looks reprove. These were thy charms, sweet village, sports like these, with sweet succession, taught even toil to please. These round thy bowers their cheerful influence shed. These were thy charms, but all these charms are fled. Paraphrasing of stanza 7. Line by line. The older women would give disapproving glances to correct such behaviors. These simple joys and activities were the delightful qualities of the village. These moments, one after another, made hard work feel enjoyable. These happy events spread cheer and warmth throughout the village. Sadly, these lovely qualities of the village have now disappeared. Paraphrasing of stanza 7. In a paragraph, The poet reflects on the simple, charming life of the village. He remembers the gentle, disapproving glance of an older woman toward the shy glances of young love. The village's joys, like these playful moments and activities, made even hard work feel enjoyable. These happy events brought cheer to the village, filling it with warmth and life. But now, sadly, all of these lovely charms are gone. Stanza 8. Original readings. Ill fares the land, to hastening ills a prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. Princes and lords may flourish, or may fade. A breath can make them as a breath has made. But a bold peasantry, their country's pride, when once destroyed can never be supplied. Paraphrasing of stanza 8. Line by line. A country suffers greatly when it falls victim to growing problems. It is a place where riches grow, but the people lose their values and strength. The power of rulers and nobles can rise and fall over time. Their status can change quickly, just as easily as it was created. The strong, hard-working common people are the true pride of a nation. Once these people are gone, they cannot be replaced. Paraphrasing of stanza 8. In a paragraph, the poet laments the state of a country that suffers when wealth increases but its people decline in values and strength. He points out that rulers and the rich may rise and fall easily, as their power depends on fleeting circumstances. However, the hard-working common people, who are the true strength and pride of a nation, or irreplaceable, once they are gone, they cannot be restored, leaving the country weakened. The summary of the poem, Lines from the Deserted Village, written by Oliver Goldsmith. In the poem, In Lines from the Deserted Village, Oliver Goldsmith nostalgically recalls the beauty and simplicity of life in a village called Auburn. He describes it as a place full of charm, where people lived in harmony with nature and enjoyed health, happiness, and prosperity. The village had cozy cottages, lush farms, a peaceful brook, a busy mill, and a church on a hill. The community came together for games, dances, and simple joys, creating an atmosphere of warmth and innocence. The village was filled with innocence, love, and laughter, creating a sense of unity and peace. However, Goldsmith mourns the loss of this idyllic life, as all its charm and happiness have disappeared, leaving him with a deep sense of sadness and longing for the past. The central idea of the poem, Lines from the Deserted Village, written by Oliver Goldsmith. The central idea of Oliver Goldsmith's poem, Lines from the Deserted Village, is a nostalgic lament for the loss of a once thriving and idyllic rural village, Sweet Auburn. The poem describes the village's former beauty, simplicity, and happiness, where the people lived in harmony with nature, found joy in their work, and celebrated life through community activities. However, the speaker mourns the passing of this way of life, as the charms and vitality of the village have disappeared, symbolizing the impact of societal and economic changes that disrupted traditional rural life. The poem reflects on the loss of innocence, community, and the natural bond between people and their environment. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked this effort, please subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video.